There's much to praise about the remake of Demon's Souls. It's a remarkable technical showpiece for the PlayStation 5, a gripping gameplay experience that oscillates between exhilarating, nerve-wracking and downright heartbreaking, and a faithful recreation of the seminal title that birthed the Souls-like subgenre. But developer Bluepoint's greatest achievement is that it took something I'm intimately familiar with and made me feel like I was venturing into the unknown. Fundamentally, Demon's Souls for PS5 is what it always has been. Barring some small tweaks, the design of the game is identical to From Software's original. The core mechanics are unchanged, the enemies are placed in the same positions and behave in the same ways, and the devious tricks and traps are still there, ready to catch the unfamiliar off guard. But what makes it special is how Bluepoint has applied its own creative vision to From Software's original to remake the game not just as it was, but as it was meant to be, realizing its full potential. The result is a title that pays homage to From Software's work, but at the same time stands as brilliant in its own right. Every facet of the environment is rich. Even the people who occupy the Nexus have more detail, which in turn gives them greater depth. Stockpile Thomas, a forlorn figure who sits in a nook of the Nexus and offers to look after your excess items and equipment, tells his story in a way that was not possible before.
My wife and daughter fell victim to the demons.
This is the first time in many hours of playing Demon's Souls that I've been able to read the expression on Thomas's faces, and the pain is visible as he recounts his tragic loss. Though their lines may be brief, the voices of these characters sound familiar, and while some have been re-recorded with the same actors, others are new, but it all sounds right, and where new or tweaked writing and vocal performances appear, they still evoke the intended effect.
Where do you call home? Dear me, I shouldn't pry.
That is true of every area in the game. Each of the 5 archstones takes you to locales that are jaw-dropping visually and distinct atmospherically. This is a game that, in numerous ways, serves as a showcase for all of the PS5's signature features, and hearing Demon's Souls is as gratifying as seeing and playing it. Thanks to the 3D audio through headphones, the heavy, threatening breathing of a blue-eyed knight told me it was nearby before I could even see it. Buzzing flies and the ragged caws of pecking crows made the sight of a decaying horse carcass all the more unsightly. And as archers fired arrows, the sounds of them whizzing by my ears revealed just how narrowly I escaped. Crucially, in each location, these new effects, beautiful lighting, and gorgeous modelling never upend From Software's intent, and in fact, create a truer representation of it. Advancement in technology and game design have given Bluepoint tools to do what From Software couldn't on PS3 back in 2009. The maze of tunnels in Stonefang feels even more claustrophobic, and as you venture deeper, the rippling steam coming off lava makes the sweltering hot environments feel oppressive. The Valley of Defilement's wet wooden scaffolding looks perilous to walk along, and the torches burn bright blue, violently moving as if agitated by an unseen toxic gas. You feel gross just standing there. Bosses are treated with the same kind of care, either true to the original or changed to more closely embody the spirit of it. The Vanguard looks less like one of those rubber monsters in my pocket toys from the 90s and more like a disgusting demonic executioner. The Tower Knight looms above you, striking a presence that is both heroic and terrifying. The Flame Lurker fight, because of how good the animation work is, made me feel like I was a matador trapped in a lava pit with a demonic flaming bull constantly bearing down on me. Technically, Demon's Souls is astounding. On performance mode, it displays gorgeous visuals rendered at 1440p and upscaled to 4K at a consistent smooth frame rate. Cinematic mode runs at native 4K, but this seems to come at the cost of performance, as I found the frame rate to be much less consistent. I stuck to performance mode, and did so with the new offset camera view, which I found to frame the game in a more cinematic way. Features such as the ability to make the UI dynamically fade in and out do a great deal to improve immersion. There are also multiple graphic filters available, including the more muted greener palette of the original PS3 release, although I think Bluepoint's version, with its richness and vibrancy, should be the way you play for the first time through. If it wasn't clear, Demon's Souls on PS5 is one of the best looking and sounding games I've ever played. Outside of the presentation, Bluepoint has employed a defter touch. As mentioned previously, Demon's Souls on PS5 plays very much the same, mechanically speaking. However, Bluepoint has clearly spent a great deal of effort on improving the feedback, so everything is more impactful. There's a weightiness and heft to the game that is communicated visually and through audio. Everything from movements to attack, evasion, and even consuming item has a physicality to it. There's a real sense of inertia and momentum as your blade cuts through the air, and noticeable resistance as it meets the steel of armor or the flesh of an enemy. The visual feedback also instills a greater sense of danger. You don't want to get hit by things because it looks and sounds like it hurts. The physicality now supports and reinforces the deliberate, methodical nature of Souls combat. And that's what stripped me of some of my confidence. The difference in the way it feels, along with actually being a little rusty, has forced me to once again respect Demon's Souls, because it's as ruthless as it has ever been, and in many cases more ruthless than the Souls games that followed it. New additions such as unique attack and finisher animations give weapons more of an identity than they had in the original, and landing riposte is such a rush that you'll want to try and parry every single enemy. But by sticking so closely to From Software's framework, Bluepoint has also carried forward some of the more idiosyncratic aspects of Demon's Souls' gameplay experience. Although world tendency is explained a bit better and more readily visible to the player, that doesn't make the underlying issues of it any better. It's still, for all but the most learned players, quite obtuse as a concept. The idea of a player struggling, dying, and the game becoming harder because of black world tendency as a result is suspect, but it's still nonetheless intact in the remake. Demon's Souls for PS5 also features the same finicky multiplayer system that it had on PS3, and that From Software games continue to have. There are specific conditions that need to be met and items employed to enable jolly cooperation, but the information around this isn't surfaced in a clear, visible way for newcomers to understand. It then falls upon the player to figure it out. But I can't fault Bluepoint for leaving it untouched, warts and all. The studio is in the unenviable position of remaking one of the most beloved games of all time, which has an incredibly passionate and vocal fanbase. And what might seem like a reasonable change to one person could be an undermining of what makes the game unique, distinct, and memorable to another. Quirks aside, Bluepoint's remake is an unmitigated success. It is a technical tour de force, and a true showpiece for what the PS5 and the power of Sony's next-gen console can do. But more importantly, it's also a creative marvel coming from a studio that is clearly showing the world it has its own voice. Bluepoint has taken From Software's original game and expressed it in a richer, fuller way, and in doing so, given me something that I thought was impossible: the opportunity to relive the experience of falling in love with Souls games for the first time.